StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is coaching. It's not about information. Now, before we get into this, I'll remind you all of two things. First of all, my daily and Monday motivation text messages, guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. They go out to everybody who is in my texting community. It is free to join the texting community. You can even tell us how often you want to receive messages from us once we start sending those messages again. So as of this recording, we aren't sending messages, but once we start sending again, everybody who's already in the text community, you won't have to do anything. You'll just start getting them again. So just text me now so you have it taken care of. My number is 305-384-6894. Just send a text to that number. And once we start sending the messages, you are in. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where I do all my coaching. If you would like to have me as your direct coach, if you would like to be able to get on live coaching calls with us, we do a live coaching call twice a month with me on it, answering every question, addressing every challenge, even giving people better quality questions when you come with a question. And I say, you know what, that's not actually the question you need to be asking. You actually need to be asking this. I will replace your question with a better question and answer the better question so that you are better equipped to know what to do next. All challenges will be handled and you will know exactly what you need to do next between then and the next time we are talking, because I'm going to do all of that for you when you're in our program, and you get access to all of our courses, all of our programs. So things you heard me talk about, like 30 Days of Discipline, ASAP Confidence, Bulletproof Mindset, the Work on Your Game system, Sell Yourself course, the Content Machine course, all of those things are in Work on Your Game University. So just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, and we are overloading you. We are over-delivering in terms of value and for you to get into the university. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one, we have options for that as well. Again, that's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. That out the way, let's get into the topic here today, which is coaching is not about information. Now, being that I work in the coaching space, I want to share these points here today to help clarify for anyone who is either you are in the process of receiving coaching from anyone, or you have considered having a coach for what exactly you're doing, and therefore what you should and will be getting when you have the right coach. All right, so if you're considering having a coach, I'm going to tell you some things you should be looking for when you hire a coach, which is not information, even though every coach has a good amount of information, and what you should be looking for and what you should be expecting and what you should be doing if you already have a coach, if you're already being coached. The one thing that I will tell you is that I talk to a lot of people who are playing the game at a high level. All right, people who are earning anywhere from $150,000 a year and up, higher than that, $150,000 a year. I believe it's $130,000 puts you in the top 10% of income earners in America. So people who are at 150 and up, I know a lot of people who are in this range. I see them at events. I'm in programs and groups with them. I have them as friends, and almost all of them have coaches. So that's a context clue that many of you can find. Many of you should follow, rather, not find, but follow. I already found it, but you should follow it, that all of them have coaches. Every high-level professional I know has a coach, especially the entrepreneurs, because as entrepreneurs, we don't have anything built in. Right? You might work at a company where you're making great money. The company may provide coaching as part of just the mix of what they do to make sure that their employees keep performing at a high level. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're nobody's employee. So there's nothing built in. Anything that's built in when you're an entrepreneur is something that you built. So in the entrepreneurs that I know, all of them are being coached. And many people, what I found, I'm not talking about these people, just people in general, many people seem to be under the impression that coaching is about information. I just need somebody to give me the information. That's not the truth these days. It hasn't been the truth for a while, as a matter of fact. So any of you who has been living with that thought, I want you to perish that thought. That is not what coaching is about, because information is readily available to everyone at the click of a button. And for the most part, it costs you nothing. So any of you who thinks information is the only thing between you and success, well, have at it. Go to Google right there. Google can be your coaches and give you all the information you want, and you only have to pay for it. Only thing you're paying with is your time. So you don't need to even speak to another human being if you want information. But there are things that a coach does, a coach person who you actually will speak to, And I'm speaking from my own personal perspective here as a coach to explain to you what these things are that do make a difference, even with the information that you can access. Okay, so let's lay all of this out here today. Again, the topic once again is coaching is not about information. Number one thing that a coach brings you that is not information is a deeper understanding. Now, what is a deeper understanding and why does it matter? Why is that worth anything? See, the first thing you got to get is that information alone is fine when you know how to use it. If I say, okay, I need to know how to fix this toy that we got from my son, and there's a piece that I don't know where this piece goes or how to put this piece on, I can go on YouTube and get some information from someone else who dealt with the same issue and they figured out how to fix it. I can watch their 3-minute YouTube video and I can solve the problem of lacking that information, knowing what to do. My information is fine when you know how to use it because the YouTube video fills in my information gap, tells me what to do. But if you don't know what question to ask and you don't know how to parse information, in other words, you don't know which information matters versus which information doesn't and which piece of information to utilize at what times and for what reason, then information actually makes your situation worse, not better. Did you already catch what I just said there? Shall I say it again? Okay, let me say it again. If you don't know what question to ask, in other words, you know that you need some information, but you don't know which information. In other words, you don't know how to ask for the information, which means you can't go on Google and search because you don't know what to search for, because you don't know what you're looking for. And you don't know which information matters versus which information doesn't because you got a bunch of it and you're not sure which one should you pay attention to and which one you shouldn't pay attention to. And you don't know which piece of information to utilize at what times and for what reasons. In other words, you get information, you say, oh, this could be useful, but I don't know which one to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth. If you don't know those things, then information, the more of it you get, the more confused and overwhelmed you become. Does that make sense? And this is what a good coach should do. Now, again, I'm speaking from my personal perspective, so I know that I help people with these things. That's why I'm laying it out. A coach helps you get deeper understanding. Because see, when you're working with me as your coach, I'm not only going to share with you and show you what we're doing, but I'm also going to help you understand why we're doing it. When you understand why we're taking this step, why we're doing this thing, why I'm saying don't do that, do this, I'm going to explain that to you because it's going to help you get a deeper understanding of, again, not only what you're doing, but why you're doing it, which means you are getting smarter in the process. But this is not something you can get on Google because it depends on your specific situation. It also requires me to break things down into simpler pieces than just what you can get information wise, let's say, even in a book or a course or even something like that, even something that came from me. You need the deeper understanding because the deeper understanding puts you in a position to where you can explain it to yourself or even to somebody else. That's the level that you want to be at. There are levels of expertise. I did a whole episode on the 5 levels of expertise. One of the levels is consuming information, such as going to college or signing up for a course. That's consuming information. The level above that is where you can actually teach it. The level above that is where you can teach it for money. The level above that is when people come to you asking to give you money so you can teach it. There are levels to this. And again, for you to get to those levels, those higher levels that I just mentioned, you got to have a deep understanding of what you're doing. Because if you just have a surface level understanding, i.e., you read the book and you can regurgitate some information, but your depth is not that deep and you are not that valuable. And people can tell, they can see through that. See, the reason that you know that I have a depth of understanding of the things that I talk about is because not only can I answer the question that you ask, I can answer a better question than the one you asked because I know the question that you should be asking versus the one that you did ask. That's because I have a deep understanding. I can suss out what you actually need to know versus what you think you need to know. And most of the time, when people think they need to know is not the best question. But see, if you don't have a depth of understanding, you can't do that. I have a depth of understanding, so I can do it. And you need to have a depth in what you do if you're going to be a professional at your thing, especially if you want to charge for it as an entrepreneur. So, look, as I already said, there's so much information out there. If you don't know how to make sense of it, it actually makes it worse. So this is the problem that many of you are running into today. Many of you listen to me right now. The biggest problem that you have is not that you don't have information, is that you got too much of it and you don't know where to start. So you got Google, you got AI software, you got podcasts like this one, you got books, all these different ways you can get information. The problem is you have too much. You don't know where to start. See, it's not that the resources don't provide information. They provide a ton of information. Information is out there. Problem is you don't know which information you need. You don't know why, when, where, how, or how any of it applies to you. You don't know. You don't know what information makes the most sense for your particular situation. This is where a coach comes in. This is why you need to have a coach. See, the internet just gives you a bunch of information and it overwhelms and flood you with information and you're still lost. You're more lost than before you started doing the search in the first place. This is why you need a coach. Remember in school, we mostly took closed book tests, right? Teacher said, put your books away, we're going to take a test. You had to prove that you understood certain information and you were not allowed to reference the material. Right? That's how tests work in school. You got caught looking in the book during a test in school. Usually that meant you were cheating and you got an F and maybe you got kicked out of class or out of school or whatever. In life, however, is the opposite. Life is an open book test. In life, the book is wide open. You can look in any book you want. You can reference any material you want to solve the problem in front of you. You access any information. The problem is there's so much information to choose from, you don't know where to start. You run out of time while the test ends, you're still looking for the information. You see, you don't have enough time to go through all the information in the world and to trial and error your way through life to figure out which information is the right information and which isn't. And it's right here that people utilize a whole lot of time trying to solve problems because they don't even know where to begin to try to solve the problem. This is a problem in and of itself. Because the book is wide open. You can look anywhere you want in the book. Problem is every book is 300 pages and there's 1,000 books in the library and you got 45 minutes to solve. You got 45 minutes to get all the answers to the test. Problem. Everybody get what I'm saying here? This is why you need a coach. Coach helps you with a deeper understanding. When you have a deeper understanding, you have a better idea of what question you need to ask, which means you can cut out a whole bunch of options. As far as answers, you go straight to the few that could possibly give you the answer that you want. But if you don't know that, then you can never get there. You'll never get to that point. So a lot of time gets used up inefficiently because you're trying to do things on your own that you are simply not equipped to do. Point number 2, today's topic, once again, is coaching is not about information. Number 2, coaching is about accurate implementation. Accurate implementation. What does accurate mean? Accurate means doing something the right way with respect to the goal. See, so what makes it right is not my opinion or your opinion. What makes it right is that this is the goal and we're measuring everything against the goal. So when you do everything based on what the goal says, then you are accurate. If you're doing things and it's not based on what the goal says, then it's not accurate. Simple as that. It has nothing to do with me, you, or anybody else's opinion. That's why the word accurate is involved there. See, it's not just implementation, it's accurate implementation. Those are two different things. In Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, he laid out the 17 principles of success. And one of them was accurate thinking. Not just thinking, accurate thinking. Accurate thinking means it has to be on point and focused on, or not focused on, but having respect to the goal. That's what accuracy means. And a lot of people in the world that we live in today, many of you focus too much on trying to be right rather than trying to be accurate. See, my goal on this show or any material that I put out there, I'm not trying to be right. My goal is to be accurate. See, being right is just about me having my opinion conquer your opinion, which is like what happens when people are arguing. There are a lot of times when people are arguing, one person's trying to be right and the other person's trying to be right. That's how you get the conflict. I'm trying to be accurate. My goal is to be accurate, which means let's get to what actually gets us the result. What is actually true here? Whether it came from me, whether it came from you, accurate is accurate. It doesn't matter who it came from. Accurate came from the world because I didn't create it. You didn't create it. It's just accurate. It's just what it is. It just is. Accurate implementation. So let's say you have found the right information. All right, you found it. Or what you believe to be the right information. How do you implement it? All right, you got the information. Now what do you do with it? How do you implement that information? How do you use it? Why do you use it? When do you use it? Where do you use it? See, these are all questions of implementation. All that's about implementation. And implementation requires a few things: clarity, focus, and clean, measurable outcomes. To implement anything, you need clarity of exactly what you're doing, focus on the thing that is in front of you, and a clear, measurable outcome so that you know you have achieved the goal. You know the task is done. So you know when something is working and when something is not working. See, in my work with many entrepreneurs, athletes, and professionals, one common theme is that many people are great at grinding away. Many people are pretty good at grinding blindly. And if you are regular listener to a show called Work on Your Game, I would bet you don't have a problem with the grind, whatever it may be for you. Working really hard over an extended period of time. Yet, problem is people do this without any rhyme or reason as to where they are looking to go, how they know they have gotten there. All right, what's our process or progress rather on this process? And see, knowing what to do is one thing, knowing why to do it is another thing. Knowing how doing it applies specifically to your situation to get you where you want to go, That's a whole other set of considerations besides just what am I doing? See, many people focus on what am I going to do, but the better question is, why does this make sense that I'm doing this? How does it fit into the bigger picture of where I'm trying to go? So if you can't answer those questions, it doesn't matter what you do. Everybody follow me here? Good. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is coaching is not about information. Number 3, accountability. Simply making sure that the things that are supposed to get done are actually getting done. They're getting done on time. They're getting done effectively, and they're being done accurately. Point of accountability is to hold oneself or others to account. That's what accountability is. We're going to hold you to account for the thing that is supposed to be getting done. I was talking to a guy in the gym the other day. He's in real estate, and he was saying he has a coach for his real estate career. And he was telling me how he needs to make more videos on social media. He was saying, man, as he was mentioning his coach, that his coach had kind of gave him some tips on how to make content for social media, but he hadn't followed the tips. He was like, man, I got to have a call. I got to call my coach on Friday, and I know he's going to give me shit because I haven't done the thing that I know I was supposed to be doing. He already told me what I need to do it. And the whole point is the coach is holding him accountable. The coach is going to hold him to account for the thing that he was supposed to do. The challenge is that coach, at least based on what this guy is telling me, and this is just anecdotal offhand comment this guy made, but based on what this guy's telling me, the coach hadn't given him enough tools to actually know the who, what, why, when, where, and how of making video or the content for social media, because that's why he hadn't done it, because he didn't have clarity. He lacked clarity, and without clarity, he can't do the task, which is where, again, many of you find yourselves these days. No clarity, you're not going to do the work. Many people tend to think that they can do all of this stuff that I'm talking about. They can just do this all on their own. I can hold myself accountable, right? They'll just hold themselves accountable, do what they're supposed to do. I'm my own biggest critic. I'm harder on myself than anybody else is on me, et cetera, et cetera. All bullshit. All of it. Most human beings are terrible at self-accountability. Most human beings are terrible at holding themselves to account. At the same time, most human beings tend to get more things done in a more disciplined and consistent way when we know we're being held accountable by someone or something outside of ourselves. This is just the truth about human nature. Now, the question is, see, it's not just that information I just gave you that matters the most. The question is, why is that true? Because that's what you really need to be asking. Why is that true? I'll tell you, because it's human nature. Instead of trying to fight human nature and doing it all on your own, leverage the fact that human beings tend to perform better when we know we are being observed and held to account than if we were by ourselves and nobody's watching. Just what it is. There's certain things you do when you know you're by yourself and nobody's watching, and you would never do if there was a camera on you, you know there were 1,000 people watching you. Agree or don't agree? Okay, exactly. We are better when we're held accountable. It's human nature. So instead of trying to fight human nature and doing everything by yourself, leverage your human nature and plug into a system that will hold you accountable. Again, instead of trying to fight human nature doing everything by yourself, how about you leverage human nature and get into something that in which you know the accountability is there? Now, I see two challenges with this on opposite ends of the spectrum. On one end, you have people who consider it a sign of weakness to, quote unquote, need to be held accountable by someone outside of themselves. I actually heard a person say this. Someone shared a message that someone had sent to them, and there was a person who was being told, hey, maybe you need to go get some help from outside of yourself. And the way that this person responded, I will say the person who was a man. I'm not going to give any more revealing characteristics of this person, but I will say it was a man. And what this man said in response to that was the suggestion that he go get some help was that I see it, this is his words, I see it as a sign of weakness to be asking another man for help or have another man telling me what to do. I don't need that kind of help. That's exactly what this guy said out of his mouth. And this is a guy who has, for all intents and purposes, he is successful. If you knew who he was and what he's done, you would say this guy is successful. And that's what he said. Many people see it as a sign of weakness to, quote unquote, need help from someone outside of themselves. On the other hand, you have people who don't want to sign up for anything that sounds like accountability, because accountability sounds like they will not have a choice but to do the things that they know they're supposed to be doing anyway. They just don't want to be forced into doing it. They know they're supposed to do it, but they don't want anyone to hold them accountable to doing it, because then it feels like they're being forced to do it rather than choosing to do it. Who the hell cares whether you're being forced or you're choosing to do it? The goal is the result, folks. We're in a performance and a results-based business. We are not in a how does this look to me business. We're not in a your personal opinion business. We're damn sure not in the feelings business. We are in a results business. What is going to get the result? The stuff that you're comfortable doing or the stuff that might make you a bit uncomfortable and push you out of your comfort zone? Which one's going to get you the results? Can't answer the question. Well, that's probably a clue as to why you are where you are. You should be happy when you're being held accountable to do the things that you need to do, because otherwise you wouldn't have done it. I was talking to another person in the gym, and he was saying, we exchanged information. He was saying, man, just let me know what days you're coming. And we were doing some practices in the boxing gym. We are doing like some just practice drills against each other and things like that. And he said, well, I'm glad that you'll be coming to the gym, because this guy doesn't come to the gym as often as I do. I see him every now and then, but he's not there nearly as often as I am. He was like, well, I'm glad that you're coming in here, because if I know you're going to come, and after we exchange information, just let me know when you come, because if I know you're going to be here, then I'll probably make sure I'm going to be here. So basically, he's using me as a way of holding himself accountable, because otherwise I never see him. I don't see him coming. He doesn't come in that often. He wants to come in more often. He's just not doing it. See, in other words, most people are just fucking lazy. All right, I said all that to say that. Okay, most people are just lazy. They don't do anything unless they're being held accountable. But then when it comes time to set themselves up to get held accountable, they hesitate because they don't want to get the accountability. So it's kind of like they're pushing it. They're fighting against themselves. And then the whole time you're fighting against yourself, you know what's happening? Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. That's the sound of your life ticking away while you're trying to figure out what to do. Either way, you end up in the same spot, trying to do everything on your own, failing at it, not getting the success, and taking all your talent to the graveyard. That's where most of us going. As you watch time go by, because you got all these stories about why you can't do this and you can't do that. Nobody wants to hear that shit. We just want to know that you achieved the result. Let's recap today's class, which is coaching is not about information. Right? Being in our work in the coaching space, I'm sharing these points for anyone who's either receiving coaching or you plan to at some time in the future. Number one, a coach will help you get deeper understanding. A deeper understanding of what you are doing. A depth of knowledge is a hallmark of a true professional. A true expert at what they do is a person who has a depth of knowledge, not just surface level knowledge. Most people only have surface level knowledge because that's all they consume. That's the stuff you can get on Google or through YouTube or a podcast. That is all surface level stuff, and you cannot become an expert just on that. Number two, accurate implementation. That means you are implementing based on accuracy, which means it is based on and has respect to the actual stated goal. That's what makes it accurate. Accurate is not me being right or you being right. It is about what is the clearly stated goal that has a measurable outcome. And if you are achieving that outcome, then it is accurate. If you're not achieving that outcome, then it's inaccurate. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter who says it. Accurate is accurate. It is truth. Truth is self-evident. Number three, accountability. Making sure that things are supposed to get done are actually getting done on time, effectively, and accurately. Again, this is accountability. Things are being held to account. Any of you who's an accountant, what's your job? To hold everything to account. You make sure all the numbers and all the money is held to account properly. You make sure the assets and the liabilities balance out. You make sure the balance sheets look the way it's supposed to look. And that is what accountability is about. Are you willing to be held accountable? Do you want to be held accountable? Will accountability help you achieve more in your life? Well, the answer to that is absolutely. Now, the question is, are you willing to be held accountable? Do you want to be held accountable? I can't answer that question, but you can. I would hope that you answer yes, because that is the key to getting from where you are to where you want to be and closing that frustration gap between your expectations and reality. With all that said, make sure you text me so you're in my community. My number is down below in the description. Also, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's the place I do all my coaching. You want to have me as your direct coach? That is the place to make it happen. Again, that's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Get access to all of our courses. Get on our 2 live group coaching calls every week. Get our 2 physical mailings in your mailbox, physical mailbox every month, and join our open entrepreneur community of people who are in the program, so you can have back and forth conversations and build relationships and connect and collaborate with other members of the program. That's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all